Hello, and a warm welcome to all my wonderful viewers. I am truly grateful that you have taken the time to watch and listen to my videos on this channel. Your support and presence mean so much to me, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. This channel was created with the aim of sharing stories, knowledge, and relaxing content that you can enjoy anytime, anywhere. Every video is made with care, passion, and a desire to bring something meaningful and enjoyable into your day, I hope you find inspiration, peace, and joy in the videos I share. Your feedback and engagement encourage me to keep creating. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Feel free to share your thoughts or suggestions in the comments. I love hearing from you and learning what you enjoy the most. I thank you for being part of this growing community. Together, we can create a space filled with positivity, learning, and entertainment. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey with me. Welcome once again, and let's make this experience unforgettable. A faint chill lingers in the early morning air as Li Wei stirs on his straw mat. The rough, woven blanket barely keeps the cold at bay. In the cramped, smoky hut, the muted sounds of sleeping men create a soft backdrop. Muffled snores, shifting limbs, the occasional cough. Li Wei opens his eyes to the dim light seeping through gaps in the mud walls. For a moment, he watches the flickering shadow of a dying ember in the fire pit. Then he remembers where he is, the work camp beneath the unfinished wall. He sits up carefully, mindful of the others. His body aches from yesterday's labor, muscles tight and sore. With cold-used fingers, he rubs his tired eyes. He takes his time folding his worn blanket, glancing at Chen Bo, his closest friend, who lies nearby, face still in the soft haze of sleep. Li Wei quietly gathers his things: a blue cotton tunic, faded and patched, straw sandals frayed at the edges, a simple headband, and a treasured wooden token given to him by his mother. He ties the token around his neck, feeling its comforting weight. The hut smells of sweat and damp earth, but this is the only home he knows now. Moving with care, he shakes Chen Bo awake. Chen groans, then manages a tired smile. "Up already, Wei?" The two share a moment of silent camaraderie. As the first gray glow of dawn brightens outside, Li Wei takes a deep breath and steels himself. Today will be like every other, endless, backbreaking, and necessary. He slips outside, Chen Bo close behind, to face another day at the wall. A sharp blast from a ram's horn cuts through the hush, making Li Wei jump. Outside, shouts echo as foremen begin the daily roll call. The men inside the hut scramble, grabbing baskets, tools, and hats, rushing to join the throng gathering outside. Li Wei steps into the morning chill, feeling dew on his bare feet as he falls in line with hundreds of others. The muster yard is a muddy, crowded field, surrounded by tall posts, where flickering lanterns cast uneven shadows. Soldiers in battered armor march up and down, scanning for stragglers or signs of resistance. The roll call is brisk and impersonal. "Li Wei," he answers with a hoarse, "Here." Soldiers with notched sticks count heads, their eyes sharp, faces hard. Some men shift nervously, clutching their meal bowls, hoping not to be noticed. Chen Bo joins Li Wei, nudging him with a half grin. "Still breathing, aren't we?" Breakfast is a meager affair, thin gruel ladled into rough wooden bowls. Li Wei savors the heat and tries not to think about the flavorless mush. Around him, some workers eat in silence, while others whisper rumors about the day's work or the latest escape attempt. A foreman, tall, scarred, his robe streaked with mud, calls for attention. He barks orders, distributing jobs for the day: stone hauling, earth digging, mortar mixing. With a steadying breath, Li Wei glances at Chen Bo. They grip their baskets and steel themselves as a drum sounds. signaling the march to the wall. The column forms, moving slowly, with every man's hope and fear trailing behind. The camp gate swings open, and the long line of workers begins its slow march. Li Wei's feet squelch in the muddy path as he and Chen Bo shoulder their empty baskets. The sky glows with pale light, promising another sweltering day. Soldiers march at the head and tail of the column, their armor jingling, keeping everyone in line. As they walk, Li Wei listens to the grumbling and quiet chatter, a man cursing his blisters, a boy humming a lullaby from home. The landscape around them is rough and wild. Rocky hills rise on either side, covered in low shrubs and stunted trees. Occasionally, they pass a cluster of stone graves, reminders of those who collapsed before them. Li Wei adjusts his headband, sweat already dampening his brow. Chen Bo points to the rising sun, joking, "Hot again, like a furnace." The soldiers don't tolerate talking, so they keep their voices low. After half an hour, the wall comes into view. Even unfinished, it is a colossal thing, blocks stacked higher than a house, with wooden scaffolds clinging to the sides. Smoke rises from as the line reaches the base of the wall. Li Wei feels a strange mix of dread and pride. This wall is monstrous, but it will last forever. He wonders if his own family, far away, will ever see what he helped create. At the worksite, the foremen divide the workers into teams. Li Wei and Chen Bo are handed thick leather gloves and heavy wooden poles for lifting stone. "Stone crew!" the foreman bellows, pointing them toward a pile of rough-hewn blocks. The site is a whirl of activity. Men in various groups dig trenches, mix lime mortar, carry baskets of dirt or chip stones with bronze chisels. Li Wei shoulders his pole with Chen Bo, the two joining 6 others to lift a block as big as a table. Together they grunt and heave, moving it inch by inch up a ramp built of packed earth and logs. Sweat drips into Li Wei's eyes. Sweat drips into Li Wei's eyes. Nearby, an old woman with a bandaged hand sets up a cauldron for boiling rice. Children, too small to haul stones, collect loose rocks or sweep dust away from the wall's foundation. The foremen walk among the teams, correcting mistakes, shouting encouragement or threats as needed. Soldiers patrol with whips slung at their hips, their presence a constant warning. Li Wei feels the muscles in his back strain, but he doesn't complain. He knows any sign of weakness could bring punishment, or worse, send him to the graveyard on the hill. The morning's first stone is the heaviest. Li Wei and his team struggle up the ramp, the block resting on the pole between their shoulders. Each step is a test of strength and balance. The air is filled with shouts, workers encouraging one another, foremen shouting the clink of chisels and hammers. Li Wei's heart pounds in his chest. He grits his teeth, matching his breathing to Chen Bo's grunts. At the top, masons wait to guide the stone into place. Li Wei's muscles burn as he and the others lower the block onto the foundation. The mason signals, "More left, stop, down!" With a final heave, it settles in place, a perfect fit. Li Wei sags with relief. The team exchanges nods, then shuffles back for the next block. Nearby, a worker slips, dropping his end of the pole. The stone crashes, drawing immediate screams from the foreman. Soldiers rush in, dragging the unlucky man away. Li Wei looks down at his trembling hands. He whispers a silent prayer to his ancestors for strength and safety as the work continues. Block after block, hour after hour, the foreman blows his whistle. First break, the workers drop their tools in relief, sitting in the scant shade offered by the wall or nearby trees. Li Wei collapses beside Chen Bo, who flops down with a grateful groan. They drink water from a shared gourd, passing it back and forth. All around them, men nurse blisters, rub sore muscles, and stretch aching backs. Some close their eyes, stealing a few minutes of sleep. An older worker pulls out a scrap of paper and a brush, scribbling a quick note home. Others munch on cold rice balls, too tired to talk. Li Wei leans his head back, feeling the rough stone behind him. He listens to distant birds and the constant thud of hammers from other teams still at work. It is a brief moment of peace, a lull before the labor resumes. Li Wei feels his heart slow, and for a few breaths, the pain fades away. The foreman's whistle shrills again, jolting everyone back to their feet. Tools are gathered, baskets hoisted, and work resumes. Li Wei feels every bruise and ache as he joins a team mixing lime mortar. He shovels sand and water into a large stone basin, using his feet to crush the mixture. Dust rises in the hot air. The sun climbs higher, beating down relentlessly. Li Wei wipes sweat from his brow, but the rhythm of the work is strangely soothing. Chen Bo joins him, using a wooden paddle to stir the thickening paste. They joke about their master chef skills, laughing quietly so the foremen don't hear. Around them, other workers stack newly cut bricks. Masons smear mortar between stones, and the wall grows. Inch by inch, a group of children pass by, bringing more sand in tiny baskets. Li Wei smiles and gives a little girl a thumbs up, making her giggle. For a brief moment, the day's harshness fades, replaced by a sense of teamwork and pride. By midday, the sun is directly overhead, its heat stifling. Workers wipe their brows with sleeves, some squinting against the glare. Tempers flare as fatigue sets in. Two men bicker over whose turn it is to haul the next stone. The foreman intervenes, his voice is sharp. "No fighting. We're all here for the emperor." Li Wei tries to keep peace, helping to split the load. Chen Bo cracks a joke about fighting over rocks, easing the tension. Some workers start to flag. One collapses, overcome by heat. Soldiers rush in, dragging him to the shade and dumping water over his head. The rest keep working, eyes down, not wanting to draw attention. Li Wei pushes himself, muscles trembling, lips cracked. He reminds himself that each stone placed is another step closer to freedom. If he survives the years of service, the hours crawl. The wall rises. Suddenly, dark clouds gather over the hills. The wind shifts, bringing the scent of rain. The foremen bark, "Cover the mortar." Li Wei helps Chen Bo drag a canvas over the lime basin. As fat drops begin to fall, workers scramble, pulling tarps over stone piles and tools. Thunder rumbles as the rain pours down, turning dust to thick mud. Everyone huddles beneath the scaffolding or makeshift shelters. Li Wei pulls his tunic tighter, shivering. The storm is brief but intense. Rain pelting, wind howling, lightning flashing over the distant mountains. After 15 minutes it ends. The air feels fresher, the world washed clean. Workers emerge, brushing mud from their clothes, some laughing in relief. The wall glistens, dark stone shining in the gray light. Li Wei feels strangely renewed. He wipes the water from his face, takes a deep breath, and prepares to work again. The day's end is signaled by a drum. Workers drop their tools, exhausted, and trudge back to camp. Li Wei's muscles scream, his clothes still damp from the storm. In the camp, fires are lit. Bowls of steaming millet porridge are handed out, and the smell of hot food fills the air. Li Wei and Chen Bo sit together, eating in silence at first. Around them, laughter and stories rise. Tales of home, of good harvests, and legends of mythical heroes. Some men patch torn clothing. Others play dice by firelight. The soldiers patrol quietly, eyes alert for trouble. Li Wei fingers his mother's token, thinking of family far away. He listens as an old man sings a folk song, voice thin but steady. Gradually, exhaustion takes over. Li Wei curls on his straw mat, Chen Bo snoring beside him. The firelight flickers, shadows dancing on the hut's walls. Outside, the wall stands silent and dark, a monument to their struggle. Li Wei drifts into a dreamless sleep, ready to begin again tomorrow. The morning light bathes the unfinished wall in a soft golden glow. as Li Wei stands at its base. In basket in hand, he traces the rough stonework with his eyes, looking for the gaps left from yesterday. The foreman, arms folded and face set in a stern line, walks the length of the new construction, muttering to himself and jotting notes on a wood tablet. For is drew nearby, a master mason inspects the stonework, tapping blocks with a small bronze hammer to test for cracks. Li Wei watches the mason carefully, noticing how his eyes miss nothing, even the smallest flaws. A group of workers, older men with gray streaks in their hair and boys barely out of childhood, crowd around the foreman for the morning briefing. The air is tense. Everyone knows a mistake can mean extra punishment or a lost meal. The foreman points out crooked stones and uneven mortar. He orders one man to remove a block and start again, his voice echoing off the vast ramparts. Li Wei feels a shiver of fear. Perfection is demanded, and patience is thin. As the inspection ends, Li Wei glances at Chen Bo, who shrugs. Today's work will be relentless, but the wall must stand forever. The sun rises higher, burning away the morning chill as the workers gather their tools and move to their assigned spots. Before any new stones can be laid, the day's first batches of mortar must be prepared. Li Wei is assigned to the mixing crew. He and 5 others drag heavy sacks of lime and buckets of sand toward a huge stone basin. The mixture is backbreaking work, shoveling sand, pouring water, then treading barefoot in the basin to blend the ingredients. The process is messy. Powdery lime coats the air and clings to skin. Water splashes onto clothes, turning dust to sticky paste. Li Wei's legs burn as he stomps the mixture with his feet, using a wooden paddle to help stir. The foreman checks the consistency with a practiced eye, barking, "Not too thin, more sand." The mixing crew responds in a tired chorus. A child, no more than 10, brings a fresh bucket of water, splashing some on Li Wei's foot. He laughs, tousling the boy's hair, grateful for the small bit of cheer. When the batch is ready, the crew fills baskets with the thick gray paste, passing them hand to hand up the ramp. Li Wei wipes lime dust from his brow, muscles sore but heart a little lighter, for the friendly exchange. With mortar mixed and ready, it's time to move stones. Li Wei and Chen Bo join 4 others in lifting a massive block using wooden poles slotted through rope loops. Each man finds his grip, faces set with concentration. The team heaves together. 1, 2, lift! The block rises just off. They shuffle forward in slow, careful steps up the muddy ramp, every movement coordinated. A foreman shouts, "Steady!" and watches them with hawk's eyes. The work is dangerous. If one man slips, the block could fall, crushing legs or worse. Sweat streams down Li Wei's face. His arms shake from the effort. Midway up the ramp, Chen Bo starts humming a marching song. At first, the others glare, but soon they pick up the rhythm, moving as one. They reach the top, muscles screaming, and lower the block to the waiting masons, who guide it precisely into place. Li Wei grins at Chen Bo. Together, they've conquered another stone. At the summit of the ramp, the master mason stands ready. He signals for the block to be set down with utmost care. Li Wei and his team lower it, every muscle trembling. The mason crouches beside the stone, using a small bronze mallet and chisel to shave away rough edges. The precision is remarkable. He chips, checks the fit, and wipes away dust, all with practiced grace. Other masons work nearby, each placing and shaping stones with artistry. Li Wei watches, captivated. The mason's hands move swiftly, almost dancing. He explains quietly to a young apprentice, showing him how to align the stone with the others for maximum strength. Once satisfied, the mason gestures for mortar. Li Wei brings a basket, and the paste is expertly spread. The new block is slid into place, the joints sealed tight. For a moment, Li Wei feels awe. This is more than labor, it is the building of history. The masons nod to the crew, a silent thanks, before moving on to the next block. To reach new heights, workers must build scaffolds along the rising wall. Li Wei's next job is lashing thick bamboo poles together with hemp rope. He and others haul bundles of bamboo from a nearby pile, setting them upright and spacing them carefully. Under a senior carpenter's guidance, they knot the ropes tightly, creating sturdy platforms. Chen Bo clambers up, testing each joint, his laughter ringing out as he wobbles dramatically. The men tease him, but they know a strong scaffold is vital for everyone's safety. The work requires balance and trust. One misstep could mean a fall. Li Wei checks every knot twice, watching the carpenter demonstrate a clever twist to secure corners. After an hour, the new scaffold stands firm against the stone. Men climb up, carrying tools and mortar, ready to lay new blocks higher than before. Li Wei wipes his brow and looks up. He'll soon be working where only birds once perched. A new order comes down. The wall needs more water for mortar mixing. Li Wei and a team take up wooden yokes balanced across their shoulders, buckets swinging from either side. The path to the river is steep and slippery, worn into the earth by thousands of trips. Each step down, Li Wei has to watch his footing, careful not to spill or trip. At the riverbank, he fills the buckets, cool water splashing on his feet. The current is swift, but he works methodically, refilling for each trip. Returning up the slope is the hardest part. The buckets feel twice as heavy, the yoke biting into his skin. Chen Bo huffs beside him, the two encouraging each other with quiet words. They pass other teams, some struggling, others running with lighter loads, a few even singing. At the top, Li Wei pours the precious water into large cisterns, then turns to make the trip again. The day is a cycle of effort and return. The river's water, as important as the stone itself. During a brief break, Li Wei notices his shovel is cracked. He joins a line at the tool shed where the blacksmith and his apprentice repair damaged tools. The blacksmith is a broad-shouldered woman with hair pulled back, her face streaked with soot. With powerful swings, she hammers hot iron on an anvil, reshaping spades and chisels. Li Wei hands her his shovel. She examines it, grunts, then sets it in the coals. Sparks fly as she repairs the crack, her apprentice turning the bellows and fetching tools. Around them, other workers wait, some joking, some impatient, some nursing cuts or blisters. The blacksmith's steady rhythm soothes Li Wei, who thanks her quietly as she hands back the fixed shovel. He tests the blade on the dirt, finding it sharp and true. A small but vital victory in a world where every tool matters. A sudden shout tears through the noise. Part of the wall has crumbled at a corner where the foundation was weak. Dust billows and stones crash down, nearly hitting two workers below. The site explodes into chaos. Foremen shout, ordering everyone back. Soldiers rush in to keep order, while masons run to assess the damage. Li Wei feels his heart race as he helps Chen Bo pull a dazed young worker from the dust. The boy coughs, but is unharmed. The master mason quickly organizes a team to clear the debris and reinforce the base. Li Wei and Chen Bo join, shoveling dirt and stacking fallen stones to one side. The foreman inspects the site, shouting orders to strengthen the mortar mix and check the integrity of every foundation stone. Fear lingers, but the crew works fast, sweat and dirt blending on every face. Disaster averted for now. Li Wei glances at the sky, thankful for safety, but aware of how quickly danger comes. A ripple of whispers sweeps through the site. The Emperor's inspector is arriving. Workers scramble to tidy up, standing straighter and moving with extra speed. A tall, dignified man in silk robes, flanked by two stern soldiers, steps from a lacquered palanquin. His expression is unreadable as he surveys the wall. The foreman bows deeply, presenting progress reports on a scroll. The inspector examines the stonework, questioning the master mason and prodding mortar with a jeweled cane. Li Wei and Chen Bo freeze mid-tusk, wary of drawing attention. The inspector's sharp eyes scan the laborers, pausing on a spot where mortar is thin. A short, tense silence. Then, with a nod, the inspector declares the work acceptable for now. Relief is palpable. As quickly as he arrives, the inspector leaves, trailing a cloud of dust. The tension breaks and workers exhale, returning to their rhythm, ever aware that they are always being watched. As the sun sinks low, casting the wall in golden light, the day's work draws to a close. The foreman sounds the end bell, and tools are laid aside. Li Wei and Chen Bo sit side by side on a half-built parapet, looking over the sprawling valley below. The wall glows orange, shadows stretching into the hills. For a few quiet moments, the workers share food and stories. Chen Bo breaks out a rare treat: sweet bean cakes saved from home. They talk about family, about home villages, about the day's brush with disaster and the inspector's visit. Laughter and sighs mix in the cooling air. Li Wei's eyes linger on the distant horizon. He fingers his wooden token, sending a silent prayer for endurance and safety. As night falls, the campfires spark to life below, and the day's struggles recede, replaced by hope for another dawn. With a final look at the wall, Li Wei stands and joins the slow procession back to camp, heart heavy but unbroken. Dawn's light barely grazes the battlements. When Li Wei arrives for the day's work, hands already stiff from the chill. Today, the master mason calls for volunteers to learn stone cutting, a rare honor coveted by those who hope to escape the most brutal labor. Li Wei steps forward, joined by two others and the ever-curious Chen Bo. The mason, with his gray-flecked beard and gentle authority, demonstrates how to score a line on the stone surface, then tap rhythmically with a chisel and mallet. He moves with measured confidence, showing how patience, not brute force, coaxes the stone to split perfectly. Li Wei mimics the movement, struggling at first, sending chips flying in odd directions. The mason corrects his grip and stance, nodding in approval, as Li Wei's next strike creates a satisfying clean break. Other workers look on with envy, some quietly hopeful that one day they'll be chosen for such a lesson. Chen Bo's attempts draw laughter. He pretends to struggle, then flashes a triumphant grin when he finally gets it right. As the lesson ends, the master mason claps Li Wei on the shoulder. A good beginning. With skill, you'll last longer than with strength alone. Li Wei glances at his hands, proud of the new calluses forming, not from carrying, but from shaping the wall itself. Later in the morning, a shout rises from the northern end of the wall. A crack, wide and jagged, has appeared where the ground beneath has shifted. Foremen rush over, soldiers trailing behind to keep the crowd at bay. Li Wei, now with his new stone-cutting skills, is called to help assess the damage. He kneels by the fracture, running his fingers along the rough split. The master mason explains, "This is where poor mortar, or haste, comes back to haunt us." Teams are quickly formed. Some fetch baskets of mortar. Others gather small stones to wedge deep in the crack. Li Wei chips away, loose bits, smoothing the edges for a new, stronger bond. Chen Bo helps haul materials, sweating and determined, eager to prove himself after yesterday's storm. The foreman supervises closely, reminding everyone that the inspector could return at any time. With each careful stroke, Li Wei feels the lesson's weight. Haste leads to ruin, patience to strength. As the repair nears completion, the master mason praises the crew's effort. If only every crack was filled with such care. The workers exchange relieved smiles, pride swelling in their tired chests. Tension mounts as the morning stretches on. A loud cry rings out. One of the younger workers has been caught trying to hide and skip his turn hauling stones. The soldiers waste no time, dragging the trembling boy before the foreman. All work halts. The yard goes silent, the only sound the wind snapping at the flags overhead. The foreman, face flushed with anger, demands an explanation. The boy stammers, admitting to exhaustion and hunger, unable to hide his shame. Without a word, the foreman signals a soldier. The boy is given several quick lashes, not to cripple, but to set an example. The crack of the whip echoes off the stones. Li Wei's stomach knots as he watches, sympathy and fear mingling in his chest. Chen Bo averts his eyes, jaw clenched. Afterward, the boy is helped to his feet, tears mingling with sweat. Older workers quietly share a bit of food with him, and the rhythm of labor resumes. Where per consequences, co-quenchers, the weakness and the pressures. The lesson is harsh but clear. Weakness brings consequences, and in this place, survival often depends on the group's discipline as much as on individual effort. The sun climbs, casting sharp shadows as the wall soaks up heat. When the bell rings for the midday meal, Li Wei joins the weary procession back to the camp kitchen. Cooks, mostly elderly men and women spared from heavy labor, ladle steaming millet porridge into battered bowls. Li Wei sits with Chen Bo and a few others beneath the scant shade of a tree, sharing stories to lighten the mood. Chen Bo recalls his village's dragon boat festival, miming the thumping of drums and the wild energy of the races. Another man sings a folk tune, his voice wavering but heartfelt. For a moment, the group's worries fade. Li Wei thinks of his family far away. He pictures his mother preparing food by the river, his father's laugh. After a day's fishing, the meal is brief, but nourishing. Some share small treats, a dried plum, a scrap of sweet rice cake, sibyls of hope from home. As they finish, Li Wei wipes his bowl clean with his sleeve and rises, feeling just a little stronger, the bonds of friendship giving him fresh resolve. After lunch, the hottest part of the day arrives. Li Wei and Chen Bo are chosen for water duty, a grueling task in the afternoon sun. With yokes across their shoulders, they walk the winding path to the river, passing wildflowers and the occasional snake sunning on a rock. At the riverbank, they kneel to fill their buckets, savoring the splash of cool water on hot skin. On the climb back, the weight digs into their shoulders and sweat stings their eyes. As they reach the wall, they pass other teams hauling sand and lime. Joking with Chen Bo, Li Wei races him to the top, both laughing and gasping for breath. By the time they empty their buckets into waiting troughs, for a brief moment, the misery of labor is eased by the challenge of friendly competition. They pause to drink from their cupped hands, enjoying the clean, cold taste of river water before returning for another trip. Work, they realize, is easier when faced together, and even burdens can be lightened with humor and friendship. As the afternoon wears on, fatigue deepens. To keep spirits high, one old worker starts singing an old northern tune. Slow, haunting, rising and falling with the rhythm of hammers and picks. Soon others join in, voices swelling as they pass mortar or hoist stones. The song weaves through the labor, transforming hardship into a communal dance. Li Wei hums along, letting the melody carry him through the motions. Even the soldiers seem less harsh, glancing sideways but saying nothing as the music fills the air. The masons set their stones in time with the beat. Women and children gathering loose rock sway to the chorus. For a few minutes, the entire site is bound together by song, a wall not just of stone, but of hope and endurance. When the song ends, the sound lingers, lifting hearts for the next round of toil. Li Wei smiles, knowing that in unity, even the hardest labor can feel lighter. Suddenly, a cry of alarm. A young boy carrying stones trips on the ramp, sending his load tumbling. Stones scatter dangerously close to the edge. Without thinking, Li Wei dashes to grab the boy's arm before he falls. Chen Bo quickly helps steady him, and together they pick up the fallen rocks. The foreman, storming over, prepares to scold, but seeing the boy's tear-streaked face and Li Wei's protective stance, he simply nods and moves on. Other workers help clear the debris, making the ramp safe again. The boy, shaken but unharmed, whispers his thanks. Li Wei pats him on the back. Be careful. We all look out for each other. The incident reminds everyone how quickly disaster can strike. From that moment, the workers are more mindful, helping each other up ramps and over obstacles. A sense of family grows stronger, a lifeline against the dangers that wait at every turn. During an afternoon lull, Li Wei and Chen Bo take a moment to rest in a shady nook beneath the wall's new arch. The master mason sits nearby, whittling a piece of wood. Curious, Li Wei asks about the wall's hidden passages. Stories passed down from older workers about secret doors and hollow stones. Meishu, the mason, grins, lowering his voice. He shares tales of how supplies and messages sometimes travel through hidden tunnels, and how, in times of danger, even a laborer might escape through a cleverly disguised opening. Chen Bo listens, wide-eyed, promising to look for odd stones or cracks. Li Wei smiles, realizing the wall is more than just brute strength. It holds the ingenuity and dreams of every person who shapes it. As they return to work, they notice little details: a stone out of place, a tunnel half buried, and feel connected to the mysteries as well as the might of the Great Wall. As the sun nears the horizon, the foreman announces one final task: hauling an especially large stone to finish today's section. Everyone groans, but there's no choice. Li Wei and Chen Bo join a group of 8, each gripping a rope wound around the giant block. With a shout, they pull together, feet digging into the dirt, arms trembling. The stone moves slowly, inch by inch up the ramp. The foreman cheers them on, voice booming. Sweat pours from every worker, breath coming in sharp bursts. At last, with a collective heave, they place the stone in its cradle atop the wall. Masons set to work sealing it in place. The group collapses nearby, gasping but proud. The task seemed impossible, yet together they accomplished it. Li Wei gazes at the sunset glinting off the stone's smooth face. He realizes that every stone, every drop of sweat, is a piece of their shared legacy, one that will outlast them all. The workday finally ends as dusk cloaks the camp in deepening blue. Workers gather around a small shrine near the wall's base, lighting incense and bowing in silent prayer for health, safety, and the families waiting at home. Li Wei stands with Chen Bo, eyes closed. Li Wei stands with Chen Bo, eyes closed, the smell of burning incense blending with the scent of earth and stone. The master mason leads a quiet chant, his voice rising and falling like the day's first song. Some workers offer food, others a coin or a handmade token. Li Wei presses his wooden talisman to his forehead, whispering thanks for another day survived. As the prayers end, the group lingers in peace. The hardships of the day are softened by community, ritual, and hope for tomorrow. Li Wei feels his heart settle. He knows that with each sunrise, new challenges will come. But for now, he is safe, not alone, and a part of something immense and enduring. As the sky turns pale blue, the camp's stillness is broken by the sound of hoofbeats. Dust swirls as a lone rider approaches the gate, a rare sight in this remote place. Li Wei, carrying baskets of kindling for the morning fires, pauses to watch. The guards tense, spears raised, as the horseman, clad in an ornate vest and broad hat, dismounts, holding out a rolled parchment stamped with imperial red wax. The foreman, summoned quickly, examines the document and bows. The message is clear. A new group of conscripts from a distant province will arrive today, a rule, and a new overseer will inspect the work. The rider's horse drinks deeply from a wooden trough, watched by a ring of curious children. The stranger speaks little, his eyes scanning the laborers before mounting up and galloping off along the wall. Chen Bo, coming up beside Li Wei, whistles low. Looks like trouble or change. Maybe Both. A buzz spreads through the camp. New faces, new rules, and perhaps new risks. Everyone returns to work. But a current of anticipation runs beneath each task. Pretty Friday pass. Later that morning, carts rumble into camp, carrying a dozen new conscripts, young men, older farmers, and a pair of frightened teenagers. Their clothes are threadbare, their faces drawn and wary. Li Wei helps unload the carts, offering a nod and a tired smile. The newcomers glance around, taking in the daunting wall and the crowds of workers. A gruff soldier shouts at the new arrivals, demanding names and issuing bundles of work clothes and rough sandals. One boy stares in awe at the wall's height, his mouth open in disbelief. Chen Bo, ever the jester, sidles up to the group. Welcome to the Empire's greatest adventure. He jokes. A few laugh nervously. Others just clutch their meager belongings. The foreman delivers a brisk speech about rules and expectations, making clear that hard work is expected, and any rebellion will be met with swift punishment. As the crowd disperses, Li Wei offers to show the newcomers where to store their gear. He sees hope and fear mingling in their eyes, a reflection of his own feelings when he first arrived. After introductions, the new conscripts are led on a tour of the camp. Li Wei, now a veteran after months of toil, is asked to explain the daily routine. He describes the importance of roll call, the procedures for receiving food, and the punishments for breaking rules. The group moves through the living huts, crowded but orderly, past the kitchens where steam rises from boiling millet, and finally to the edge of the worksite where the massive wall looms. The newcomers gape at the sheer scale of the wall and the ceaseless activity around it. Men mixing mortar, hauling stones, repairing scaffolds. Li Wei's words are honest but gentle. He points out ways to avoid trouble, like helping others and not slacking when soldiers are near. Yet Chen Bo demonstrates how to wrap a headcloth to keep out dust. Drawing laughs as he ties his in a ridiculous knot. By the end of the tour, the new men seem steadier. Li Wei reassures them, "It's hard, but you'll learn. We all look out for each other." As the bell rings, they scatter to their assigned teams, nerves fading into determination. By midday, tension in the camp spikes as the new overseer approaches, escorted by soldiers with polished armor. He is tall and thin, his face hidden by a long silk veil, eyes sharp as a hawk's. He walks the length of the wall, hands clasped behind his back, speaking little. The foreman presents records, the overseer only nods, sometimes tapping a finger on the scroll. Workers line up at attention. The overseer examines the stonework, inspecting each mortar joint and measuring the height of new sections with a carved stick. When he finally speaks, his voice is soft but icy. Mistakes will not be tolerated. He points out a flaw, a stone slightly out of line, and orders the crew responsible to redo the work. Li Wei and Chen Bo exchange glances, knowing that days ahead will be even more exacting. As the overseer moves on, his soldiers in tow, the camp seems to collectively exhale. Everyone returns to work, more precise than ever. Tempers flare as the afternoon drags on. A dispute erupts between two teams. One accuses the other of shirking their share of heavy lifting. Voices rise, shoves are exchanged, and baskets of mortar tip and spill. The foreman intervenes, barking orders to separate the men. Soldiers appear, but Li Wei steps between the groups, urging calm. "We're all tired. Save your strength for the wall." Chen Bo, ever resourceful, cracks a joke about the wall standing straighter than the arguing men, and laughter breaks the tension. The overseer, observing from a distance, notes the incident but seems satisfied with the resolution. The workers, chastened, work side by side to clean up the mess. They realize that the real enemy is exhaustion, not each other. By evening, the incident is already a camp story, retold with embellishments and laughter by the fire. As dusk settles, a sudden commotion near the edge of camp draws attention. A wild dog, thin and muddy, darts among the workers, sniffing for scraps. Most shy away, but a few children and Li Wei approach cautiously, tossing the animal bits of stale bread. The dog, ribs visible, snatches the food and backs away, tail wagging. Chen Bo, with a soft spot for animals, coaxes the dog closer, offering his lunch scraps. The animal gradually relaxes, letting Chen Bo scratch its ears. Some older workers shake their heads, warning that wild dogs can bring bad luck. But for many, the animal's presence is a small comfort, a reminder of home and a welcome distraction from hardship. By nightfall, the dog curls up near the kitchen fires, watched over by children. Li Wei and Chen Bo laugh, agreeing that every camp needs a guardian, even one with 4 legs and fleas. Just after the evening meal, the overseer unexpectedly announces a night inspection. Lanterns flicker as he leads the foreman and a handful of chosen workers, including Li Wei, along the newest stretch of wall. He questions Li Wei about construction techniques, testing his knowledge. Li Wei answers carefully, recalling lessons from the master mason about foundation strength and stone placement. The overseer listens, his face unreadable. He asks Li Wei to demonstrate proper mortar mixing. Li Wei does so, hands steady despite nervousness. Finally, the overseer nods, almost smiling, and says, "If all worked as you do, this wall would reach the sky." The other workers exhale in relief, proud of their comrade. Word spreads quickly through camp. The overseer is demanding, but fair, and skill earns respect. As the lanterns are extinguished, Li Wei finds his worries eased. He has proven himself, not just in strength, but in craft and knowledge. With the day's work done and tension easing, the camp gathers around small fires. Li Wei and Chen Bo sit with old and new friends, sharing tales. Tonight, Chen Bo tells a ghost story about ancient spirits haunting the mountains, his voice low, eyes wide, making the listeners lean closer. Children clutch blankets, half scared, half delighted. An elderly worker counters with a story of clever animals who outwit cruel masters, drawing laughter and applause. The wild dog, now named Hay for his dark coat, dozes by the flames. Someone strums a 2-stringed fiddle, and a gentle song rises. Li Wei feels warmth, not just from the fire, but from the growing bonds between workers. In a place built by hardship, friendship, and stories are a shield against loneliness and fear. As the fire dies, Li Wei slips away, grateful for every tale that brings the camp together. As the moon rises, a rare delivery comes from the distant south. A wandering monk brings letters. The camp buzzes with excitement as names are called out. Li Wei, heart pounding, receives a small, smudged letter from his sister. He sits apart, unfolding the precious paper with trembling fingers. The letter tells of good health, a plentiful rice harvest, and the birth of a new nephew. Li Wei's eyes sting as he reads his family's loving words. Chen Bo leans over, grinning. "Good news?" Li Wei nods, handing over the letter to share the joy. Around the camp, other workers clutch their own letters or weep for news of loss. The monk blesses each with a quiet prayer before moving on. For Li Wei, the words from home are like water in the desert, sustaining and sweet. He tucks the letter into his shirt, determined to work hard for those waiting far away. Deep in the night, the camp finally grows quiet. Li Wei, lying on his straw mat, gazes at the faint glow of embers. The sound of crickets mingles with the distant murmur of the wall stones cooling after a hot day. He thinks of his family's letter, of the new friends, and of the wild dog now sleeping in the next hut, of the overseer's rare praise. Sleep creeps over him, but his mind drifts to dreams of going home, of running through rice fields, of feasts and festivals, of children's laughter, not marred by hunger or fear. In his dreams, the wall is finished, and its guardians are free men, not conscripts. He sees Chen Bo at his side, their journey complete, the empire at peace. As Li Wei's breathing deepens, The stars wheel overhead. Tomorrow will bring more trials, but for now, he is safe. His spirit buoyed by hope and the knowledge that every day he endures brings him closer to home. The day begins under a bruised sky. Heavy clouds boil over the mountains, and thunder rumbles even before dawn. Li Wei wakes to a low, tense murmur spreading through the camp. Everyone senses a storm is coming. Despite the threat, the day's work must begin. Foremen push the workers out of their huts, urging them to prepare the site. The walls' exposed stones are slick with morning dew, their colors deepened by the gathering gloom. Li Wei helps secure the thatched roofs over the mortar basins, tying them tightly with hemp rope. Chen Bo joins him, cracking nervous jokes about the dragons fighting in the sky. Wind whips through the camp, sending dust swirling and snapping banners against the poles. Soldiers reinforce the scaffolds, checking each joint and tying down loose tools. In this uneasy light, every sound seems sharper. Boots on gravel, shouts of orders, distant cracks of thunder. The precision is electric. As the first fat raindrops begin to fall, Li Wei looks to the horizon, his heart steady. He knows storms test more than just the wall. They reveal the courage of those who build it. Within the hour, the storm unleashes its full force. Rain lashes the earth in sheets, turning dust to mud in moments. The roar of water on stone and wood drowns out even the soldiers' shouts. Li Wei, caught on the scaffold with Chen Bo, clings to the bamboo rails as the structure sways alarmingly. Cold rain soaks them both to the bone, but they stay put, determined to protect the new masonry. Some workers below dash for cover under the ramps, while others scramble to cover loose mortar with makeshift tops. The foreman wades through ankle-deep mud, shouting orders that are lost in the downpour. Lightning strikes close, making everyone flinch. The wild dog Hay bolts for the kitchens, howling as thunder shakes the ground. For a tense half hour, the workers huddle wherever they can, soaked and shivering, their breath coming in anxious clouds. Finally, the worst of the storm passes, leaving behind a battered but intact worksite. Li Wei's arms ache from holding on, but he manages a weak grin at Chen Bo. Still in one piece? They both burst out laughing, the tension breaking with the clouds. When the storm moves on, the sun breaks through patches in the clouds, turning the camp into a world of steam and puddles. The air smells of wet earth and ozone. Li Wei and the others emerge, blinking in the sudden light. The overseer arrives, his veil glistening with droplets, and begins a swift inspection. Some scaffolds have collapsed, and a few mortar troughs are overturned. One section of fresh wall sags, the mortar washed away. Li Wei joins a team assigned to salvage usable materials. With Chen Bo's help, he rights a fallen bamboo pole and gathers stray buckets and tools. The foreman tallies losses while the master mason checks for deeper cracks. Tension simmers. Everyone knows that delays reflect badly on the whole crew. But Li Wei works methodically, encouraging others not to despair. We'll build it back stronger, he promises a disheartened boy beside him. Gradually, order returns to the site. The damage is real, but the will to rebuild is greater. By midday, the wall once again echoes with the sounds of determined labor. With cleanup underway, the overseer orders a teamwork test. Teams must rebuild a collapsed scaffold and reset the section of wall by sundown, or lose their evening meal. Li Wei quickly assembles a group. Chen Bo, the strong but quiet Shun, 2 agile boys from the new conscripts, and an elderly mason named Uncle Ping. They strategize. Sun and the boys haul bamboo while Uncle Ping knots lashings and Chen Bo hauls stones. Li Wei coordinates, ensuring everyone has a role. At first, tempers flare. The boys argue, Zun works in silence, and Uncle Ping grumbles about his old bones. But Li Wei steadies them, turning the task into a challenge. We beat the storm. We can beat this. Gradually, the team finds their rhythm. Jokes and banter replace complaints. By afternoon, the new scaffold is up. stronger than before. As the sun drops, the repaired wall section is ready for inspection. The overseer nods in grudging approval, and the team shares their hard-won meal in triumph. As dusk falls, the foreman approaches Li Wei. He compliments the team's rapid repairs and asks Li Wei to speak to the newcomers about leadership. Li Wei stands before a group of tired but attentive faces. He explains that leadership is not about command, but about listening and helping everyone play to their strengths. He tells how today's success came from patience, letting Uncle Ping teach knots, encouraging Shun's silent effort, and making space for the boys to grow confident. Chen Bo chimes in with a funny story about the time he tied a knot so badly the scaffold fell over. Laughter ripples through the group, tension easing. Li Wei ends with a reminder: we are stronger together than alone. If the wall stands, it's because we hold each other up. As the firelight flickers on their faces, Li Wei feels the weight of respect in the eyes of the new workers. He never dreamed he would be a leader. But here, among stone and storm, he is learning to be more than a laborer. Unexpectedly, the Emperor's inspector returns at sunset, arriving in a lacquered palanquin with an entourage of soldiers and scribes. His arrival sends a ripple of anxiety through the camp. He demands a full accounting of the day's storm and the repairs. The foreman presents the records, trembling slightly. But Li Wei's team steps forward to answer questions. Li Wei calmly describes the teamwork, the strategy, and the improvements made. Chen Bo, standing tall, demonstrates the reinforced scaffold knots, earning a rare nod of approval. The inspector listens, then orders a final inspection. He walks the length of the repairs, tapping stones, testing scaffolds, and consulting his scribes. At last, he turns to the workers. Well done. The Emperor rewards strength and wisdom both. He leaves behind a basket of dried fruit and tea. A rare gift. Relief washes over the camp. For one night, there is pride instead of fear, and hope flickers brighter than ever. As night deepens, a celebratory mood sweeps through the camp. Someone brings out an old, battered drum, and another plucks at a lute. Li Wei leads a song, one picked up from the older workers, about survival through storms and hardship. The melody rises, voices rough but strong, echoing between stone and sky. Chen Bo dances, waving his arms and pulling others into the circle, even getting the shy Shun to laugh and stomp along. Uncle Ping sings a verse in his native dialect, which none understand but all appreciate. The wild dog Hay circles the group, barking in time, tail wagging. Even the soldiers, usually stern, tap their feet or hum along. The song grows louder, a wall of sound as mighty as the stones they build. For this one night, they are not just conscripts, but survivors and brothers. As the last note fades, Li Wei feels both exhausted and uplifted, a spirit strong enough to face any storm. Later, as the camp quiets, Li Wei and Chen Bo slip away to the edge of the rampart, sitting with legs dangling over the stone. The moon glimmers on the distant river, and cool wind soothes their battered bodies. They speak quietly of family. Chen Bo wonders if his sister remembers his birthday. Li Wei shares hopes for seeing his new nephew someday. They talk about leadership, about fear, about the strange joy that can come after the hardest days. Will they remember us? Chen Bo asks, pointing to the wall's endless stretch. Li Wei nods. Maybe not our names, but our hands are in every stone. A shooting star flashes across the sky. Both men fall silent, letting hope settle into their bones. As they stand and return to camp, Li Wei feels lighter, as if the storm has washed away more than mud. It has cleared space for something new. The storm's memory lingers, so the camp posts extra guards. Tonight, Li Wei volunteers to walk the wall. He patrols the battlements with a torch, boots crunching on damp stone. The wall feels alive at night, wind whispering through cracks, the sound of distant animal calls, the soft breathing of men asleep below. He checks the scaffolds, tightens a loose knot, and pauses to listen for trouble. Halfway through his watch, he finds the wild dog Hay curled beneath an overturned bucket. He scratches the animal's ears, whispering, "You're on duty too!" The hours pass in quiet vigilance. At dawn, as the camp stirs, Li Wei is tired but proud. He knows his vigilance has helped keep the camp safe. His role is more than labor. It is guardianship. As a pale sun rises over the battered camp, the air is fresh and cool. Workers emerge from their huts, blinking in the soft morning light. Li Wei gathers his tools, his body weary, but his spirit renewed. Chenbo yawns, joining him with a sleepy grin. Together, they walk the length of the repaired wall, admiring their handiwork in the dawn. The stones gleam, testament to their resilience. The foreman calls roll, his voice warmer than usual. Today there are no punishments, only praise. A new day's work begins, but it feels different. The memory of the storm, the challenge overcome, the unity forged, these are the true foundations of the wall. Li Wei stands tall, ready for whatever comes. In the rising sun, he sees not just hardship, but possibility. Every stone, every day, a step closer to hope and home. With the morning's peace, Li Wei's muscles ache from the night storm and guard duty. While gathering water, he notices a woman tending a small garden of herbs. By the kitchens, a rare sight in the harsh world of the wall. The woman, called Auntie Hua by the cooks, is the camp's unofficial healer. Her face is lined but kind, her hands deft as she crushes leaves and mixes poultices for blisters and wounds. Li Wei hesitates, shy about asking for help, but Auntie Hua notices his limp. "Come, boy," she beckons. "Let me see those hands." She examines his palms, calloused, blistered, raw from rope and stone. She applies a cool, minty balm, wrapping his fingers gently. Chenbo arrives, limping from a twisted ankle. Auntie Hua toots at both, muttering about careless boys and the wall being built faster than the workers can heal. Despite the scolding, her touch is gentle, her smile reassuring. Li Wei feels cared for in a way he hasn't since leaving home. As he returns to work, hands tingling from the balm, he vows to bring Auntie Hua a gift of wildflowers. Next time, he's sent beyond the camp. As noon approaches, a government courier stops at the camp with news from distant provinces. He carries a scroll covered in calligraphy and a bag of salt for the overseer. A precious commodity. The workers gather, eager for tidings of home and the world beyond the wall. The overseer reads the notice aloud. There has been a rebellion far to the south. A new emperor is rumored, and taxes will increase. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Some workers worry for their families. Others are bitterly resigned. Li Wei feels a pang of fear for his village. But Chenbo grins wryly. Emperors rise and fall. But we keep building. The courier accepts a cup of tea and some food before riding on, leaving uncertainty in his wake. The overseer posts the edict on a bamboo pole, and workers drift back to their labor, the shadow of distant troubles joining their burdens. Li Wei's resolve hardens. He must work and survive, whatever the news from the outside world. With the afternoon heat rising, Li Wei is assigned to help train the two youngest new conscripts, Ming, a bright-eyed boy from the east, and Da, a shy orphan with a crooked grin. He teaches them to carry bricks safely, to watch for loose stones, and to share water with their team. Chenbo demonstrates how to balance a basket on one shoulder, making the boys laugh by pretending to tip it onto his own head. The work is slow at first. Ming struggles with heavy loads. Da trips on the ramp. Li Wei is patient, steadying nerves with kind words and showing by example. Gradually, the boys gain confidence. By the end of the day, Ming carries bricks with ease. Da runs errands for the masons, and both grin with pride at their progress. Li Wei feels a strange, older brother pride. In teaching others, he finds his own burdens lightened, the wall's weight easier to bear. During the midday break, the workers gather in the shade for a rare treat. Uncle Wu, a retired soldier turned laborer, agrees to tell a story. His voice is deep and gravelly, his eyes crinkling with memory. He speaks of past campaigns, of battles on distant steppes, fierce cavalry charges, and a time when the emperor himself rode among the soldiers. Younger workers listen in awe. Chen Bo peppers Uncle Wu with questions about armor and war horses, drawing laughter. Uncle Wu warns, "Glorious for the storytellers. War leaves more widows than heroes." Li Wei reflects on the different forms of service: the sword, the spade, the wall. As the break ends, he thanks Uncle Wu, feeling his perspective broaden. The men return to their posts, carrying the weight not only of stones, but of history. The afternoon brings a punishing round of stone hauling. Li Wei is paired with Jun, the taciturn strongman. At first, their teamwork is awkward. Jun rarely speaks, his strength intimidating. As the work intensifies, Li Wei adjusts his rhythm, learning to follow Shun's silent cues. Gradually, they move as one, shifting blocks with surprising efficiency. During a brief pause, Jun quietly shares a piece of salted fish, a rare delicacy from his distant home. Li Wei offers a dried plum in return. They eat together, a silent bond forming in the shared salt and sweat. When Chen Bo calls for help with a stubborn stone, Zun steps in, muscles flexing as he lifts with ease. By the end of the day, Li Wei and Shun don't need words to commune. They share a nod, respect earned and given through labor, a friendship formed without need for speech. At dusk, as Li Wei helps lay a new course of bricks, he notices a folded scrap of paper wedged deep in a crack. Curious, he gently teases it free and reads the faded characters. An old poem about longing for home. Chen Bo peers over his shoulder, recognizing the script of a southern province. "Someone left their heart in these stones," he says softly. Li Wei tucks the message away, vowing to add his own mark one day. He is struck by the realization that every stone in the wall holds not just mortar, but the silent hopes of countless. That night, by firelight, Li Wei copies the poem onto another scrap, adding a line of his own. "May those who build be remembered." He hides it within the next stone he sets. The wall becomes a living record, layered with hardship, hope, and the quiet voices of those who built it. As night approaches, disaster strikes. Da, one of the young trainees, slips on the rain-slick ramp, twisting his ankle and dropping his load. Li Wei rushes to his side, checking for serious injury. Auntie Hua is called, arriving with her herbal kit. She splints Da's ankle, murmuring gentle reassurances as the boy blinks back tears. The foreman frowns but lets the others carry Da to his bunk. But Ming volunteers to do double duty until his friend heals. Li Wei promises Da he will return soon with stories. The beast and Chen Bo brings him a slice of sweet potato to cheer him up. The camp feels closer in crisis. Everyone rallies around the injured, sharing food, chores, and encouragement. Da falls asleep to the sound of quiet voices and the comfort of being cared for. Even far from home, worried for Da, Li Wei volunteers to keep watch in the sleeping hut, ensuring his friend doesn't worsen his injury. He sits awake, listening to the slow breathing of the others, the occasional cough, the wind whispering through cracks in the wall. Chen Bo brings hot water, while Auntie Hua checks the bandages by lamplight. Together, they share quiet conversation about family, dreams, and the stories hidden in each stone. Li Wei feels a sense of peace, knowing he is trusted to protect his comrades. As the night deepens, he drifts between sleep and wakefulness, alert for any sign of distress. At dawn, Da wakes with less pain, and Li Wei smiles. He has done his part, small but important, in holding their fragile camp together. In the gentle dawn, Li Wei finds a patch of wildflowers near the water well. Remembering his vow, he picks a bouquet and brings it to Auntie Hua, who is preparing the morning's medicines. She accepts the flowers with a rare, broad smile. "Even in this place, beauty grows," she says, placing the bouquet in a jar beside her remedies. Strike days. The children, awake early, gather around to see, delighted by the colors. Auntie Hua teaches them which plants heal, which ones to avoid. Li Wei feels a quiet pride, having brought a small bit of color and cheer into the hard world of the wall. As the morning bell rings, Auntie Hua presses a sprig of mint into his hand for luck. He tucks it into his sash, stepping into the day with renewed energy. As Li Wei walks to the wall for another day's work, the sun crests the mountains, bathing the site in gold. Workers stretch, shake out their aches, and line up for their assignments. Ming and the newly healed Da stand beside Li Wei, eager and determined. Chen Bo cracks jokes as usual. Auntie Hua waves from her herb patch, and Zun nods quietly from the tool line. The overseer inspects the crews, noting improved morale and efficiency. "Let today be strong," he calls. As they set to work, the struggles and stories of the previous days seem lighter. Wounds healed, friendships formed, and hope blooming even in harshest soil. Li Wei lifts his first stone with confidence, the mint sprig from Auntie Hua's garden, tucked safely in his sash. The wall rises, and so does the spirit of those who build it, one sunrise at a time. At first light, Li Wei's crew is assigned to repair a crumbling section of the wall's old foundation. The earth is damp, the stones sunken and loose. As they dig, Li Wei's shovel strikes something different. A layer of ancient bricks, darker and smaller than the current wall's stones. Chen Bo kneels beside him, brushing mud away with curious fingers. Uncle Wu, the old soldier, approaches and squints at the find. "Older than I am, and that's saying something," he jokes. He tells the crew that the empire has always built and rebuilt. These borders, what they're doing now, is just the latest chapter. Li Wei ponders the hands that shaped these bricks centuries before his own. As they carefully lift the old bricks aside, they discover fragments of carved pottery, a bowl with a dragon motif, and a faded copper coin. The overseer inspects the discovery, pockets the coin, and instructs the crew to stack the ancient bricks with respect. For a moment, the laborers feel a kinship with builders long gone, each stone a memory layered beneath their own. As the digging continues, the workers talk quietly about legends, ghosts beneath the stones, treasure buried by emperors, lost scrolls with forbidden knowledge. Ming, wide-eyed, insists he felt a cold breeze and heard whispers in the soil. Chen Bo fans the tale, pretending to shiver and clutching at his chest. Li Wei listens with a half smile, not believing in ghosts, but knowing well the power of memory and imagination. The old foundation is filled in and reinforced with new stones. The carved bowl is placed gently in the shrine at the camp's edge, a gift to ancestors and a sign of respect. As the sun rises higher, the men work with a lighter touch, sensing that their day's labor is now bound to centuries of hope and loss. At break, Chen Bo starts a new camp story of the wall haunted by ancient workers who return at night to see their handiwork stand strong. Later, a strange shortage in the tool supply is discovered. Several shovels and baskets are missing. The foreman accuses the workers of stealing for barter or escape. Tension escalates as everyone is ordered to search the camp. Li Wei, Chen Bo, and Shun volunteer to check the supply shed. Inside, Li Wei spots fresh footprints in the dust and a small loose panel in the wall. Behind it, they find the missing tools stashed alongside half-eaten food and a pair of ragged shoes. It's clear someone is hiding nearby, likely a runaway, too scared to escape into the wild. Chen Bo leaves a note and some food. Come to Auntie Hua for help. That night, the tools are quietly returned, and a new boy, gaunt and fearful, is found near the kitchens. Auntie Hua takes him in, no questions asked, no one speaks to the foreman. Among the workers, a code of silent compassion is understood. The wall is harsh enough, there's no need to make it crueler. Ahachuru. With news of the recovered tools, the overseer prowls the camp, his eyes narrowed. He questions Li Wei and his friends, pressing for names and details. Li Wei replies calmly, describing how they found the tools, but omitting mention of the runaway. Chen Bo backs up the story, swearing they saw no one. The overseer studies their faces, his silence heavy. For a moment, it seems he suspects more, but he says only, loyalty to the wall is loyalty to the emperor. After he leaves, Chen Bo lets out a long breath. You'd think the stones themselves were spies. Li Wei wonders how much the overseer truly knows, and how much is simply power and fear. The men are left alone, the secret safe, their loyalty to each other tested and proven. In the evening, Auntie Hua organizes a quiet healing circle. She tends to blisters, soothes bruises, and gives the runaway boy a place to sleep among the children. Li Wei helps grind herbs and warm water. Ming and Da bring clean rags, and Chen Bo entertains the children with shadow puppets. For a while, the camp feels almost like a village. Shared laughter, gentle voices, the smell of mint and ginger. Auntie Hua tells stories as she works, weaving healing with wisdom. She reminds the workers that every pain carried alone is doubled, but pain shared is halved. Even the stern Jun sits on the circle, letting Auntie Hua check a festering splinter. The camp falls asleep more quietly, aches eased, fears soothed. Li Wei feels hope. Even in a place built by forced labor, kindness can grow stronger than stone. Under a star-filled sky, Li Wei and Chen Bo patrol the perimeter on night watch. The world is hushed, the wall standing silent, the night air cool and still. As they walk, they hear faint voices, two workers whispering about home, about the families they miss, and the plans they dream for after their service. Li Wei listens, heart aching with recognition. Chen Bo admits, sometimes I dream my mother's voice calls me home. They pause on the wall's highest point, gazing across the endless horizon. Li Wei whispers his own longing to the wind, hoping somehow his family will feel it. The two sit in silence, finding comfort in shared dreams. Above them, the constellations march on, steady as the wall, indifferent to sorrow, but witnesses all the same. Just before midnight, the overseer calls a surprise inspection. He suspects a runaway still hides in camp. Lanterns flicker as workers are roused from sleep. Lined up shivering in the chilly air, Li Wei feels the eyes of the overseer linger on him, but he stands tall. Chen Bo is wide awake, making subtle faces to ease the tension for the younger boys. Each hut is checked. The runaway boy, now cleaned and bandaged by Auntie Hua, is presented to the overseer, who stares long and hard. Finally, the overseer declares, "This boy works or he leaves." Auntie Hua steps forward, bowing deeply, promising to guide him. Li Wei exhales, proud of the quiet courage shown by his friends. The camp is released back to sleep, and a sense of victory, small but meaningful, settles in the gentle light before dawn. Auntie Hua introduces the runaway boy, named Song, to his new crew, Li Wei's team. Song is nervous but determined. Clutching a small amulet as a keepsake, Li Wei welcomes him with a pat on the back, and Ming shows him how to fill a basket with gravel. Chen Bo makes him laugh with a tale of his first disastrous day on the wall, and Da helps him tie his sandals tight. Soon, Song is hauling sand, struggling but refusing to give up. His presence inspires the crew, reminding them all of fresh starts and resilience. By midday, Song is working with the others, a shy smile blooming. He knows he's found a place, even among strangers. Kindness, he learns, can be found where he least expects it. Song's first challenge is hauling a heavy basket of sand up the ramp. He nearly gives up halfway, but Ming runs to help, and Li Wei quietly steadies the load from behind. Chen Bo cheers him on, almost there, like carrying dumplings to a feast. With gritted teeth, Song makes it to the top, sweat pouring, arms trembling. But he's done it. The older workers clap. The foreman gives a curt nod, and Auntie Hua gifts him a plum. Song's face glows with pride and relief. He looks to Li Wei and the others, grateful for the support and kindness. By day's end, he is no longer just the runaway, but a true member of the crew. The wall grows stronger, not just in stone, but in spirit. Each victory, however small, laying a foundation for all who come after. That evening, the workers gather for a meal of rice and beans. Song sits in the circle, sharing stories from his distant village. How he fished with his father, how he dreamed of seeing the wall. Ming and Da try to top his stories, while Chen Bo invents a legend about the night the wall sang. Laughter rings out, echoing along the dark ramparts. Auntie Hua, her face glowing in the firelight, leads a quiet prayer for absent friends and families. Uncle Wu hums an old soldier's tune, and Hey the dog curls up next to Song, finally at peace. As Li Wei gazes into the fire, he feels the power of belonging, of unity forged in hardship. The secrets beneath the stones may never be known, but the lives above them are rich with meaning. The night is calm, the sky vast and clear, and the wall stands strong. A monument to endurance, memory, and community. Dawn breaks, unusually. Li Wei notices the birds have vanished from the wall's edge, and even the wild dog He is restless, sniffing the wind. The guards seem tense, their eyes scanning the horizon. Whispers spread that a band of raiders was seen in the hills at sunset. The overseer orders extra patrols. The older workers mutter of past attacks, quick, violent, always when least expected. Li Wei and Chen Bo are sent to reinforce the gate nearest the valley, stacking heavy stones and sharpening wooden stakes. Ming and Da carry water, running between the crews. For the first time, Li Wei feels the wall's shadow not as protection, but as a reminder of the danger that always waits beyond. He tightens his grip on his shovel and tries to keep his voice calm for the sake of the younger boys. Today we're builders and defenders, Chen Bo says, trying to sound brave. As the sun climbs, the camp holds its breath, waiting for whatever may come. Mid-morning, a sentry blows a horn. Raiders spotted among the scrubby hills, silhouettes on horseback kicking up dust. Panic ripples through the camp. Workers scramble to gather tools. Some reach for old spears left by the guards. The overseer shouts orders. Stay behind the walls. Defend the supply wagons. Li Wei, heart hammering, herds the youngest workers and Auntie Hua into a stone storeroom. Chen Bo volunteers to help the guards on the ramparts. Gripping a shovel like a spear from the wall's top, Li Wei glimpses the approaching riders. Wild-haired, faces masked, bows and axes glinting in the sun. The raiders circle, testing the defenses, loosing a few arrows that clatter harmlessly off the stones. Is Timpita Freebuik. For now, the wall holds firm, but the fear is real. Every worker knows that if the wall fails, they are the first to fall. The attack begins at midday. Raiders rush from the hills, loosing arrows and flinging burning torches. The sky is filled with shouts, hoarse screams, and the crackle of fire. Guards loose arrows in return, and the overseer shouts for buckets of sand and water to put out flames. Li Wei and Chen Bo scramble atop the ramparts, swinging shovels at attackers who try to scale with ladders. Ming and Da dash from station to station with water buckets, dodging flying debris. The wild dog He barks furiously, biting at the ankles of any raider who gets too close to the gate. A torch lands near a pile of straw. Li Wei and Chen Bo smother the flames, choking on smoke. It is chaos and terror, but the wall's defenders hold strong, pushing back each assault. The raiders, frustrated, retreat for now, their numbers thinning. After the first wave, the defenders regroup. Auntie Hua rushes from cover to tend the wounded, bandaging a guard's arm, soothing a sobbing child, smearing burns with cooling herbs. Li Wei finds Ming shaking, eyes wild, still clutching an empty bucket. Kneeling beside him, Li Wei steadies the boy's hands and murmurs, "You were brave. You did right." Chen Bo sits with Da, who is pale and silent, and tries to make him laugh with a silly face. The effort draws a thin smile. The overseer inspects the wall. Damn, it's his light. but nerves afraid. He nods curtly at Li Wei, an unspoken gratitude in his glance. As dusk nears, everyone is jumpy. The workers sleep in shifts, weapons nearby. Too tired to talk, but united in their determination to survive, night descends. Torches blaze along the wall, casting long shadows. Li Wei takes his turn on night watch, walking the battlements, listening for the distant clatter of hooves. The moon is full, silvering the valley below. Every shape seems suspicious, every sound too loud or too quiet. Chenbo, patrolling nearby, shares a muttered joke about ghost horses. At intervals, the overseer checks each post, offering a word of praise to those who stay vigilant. Li Wei finds comfort in the routine, checking knots, scanning the dark, feeling the solid stone beneath his hands. Below, Ming and Da sleep fitfully, still in their clothes. He lies by the gate, snoring lightly, every so often growling in his sleep. As dawn breaks, no raiders have returned. The defenders have done their duty, and the wall stands. The sun rises on a battered but unbroken wall. The crew gathers to repair scorched wood, fill arrow holes, and replace broken stakes. Li Wei organizes the work, encouraging those who limp or wince from minor wounds. Auntie Hua dispenses willow bark tea for pain, while Ming and Da clear debris with new determination. Chenbo jokes about decorating the wall with raider arrows, making the workers laugh despite their fatigue. The overseer inspects the repairs, praising quick hands and clever fixes. The wall's only as strong as those who mend it, he says, surprising everyone with his rare warmth. By midday, the scars of the attack are fading, and the camp feels pride. They defended not just the wall, but each other, a bond forged in the fire of danger. After the repairs, the crew gathers by the camp shrine to honor 2 guards who died defending the wall. Auntie Hua lights incense, and Uncle Wu says a few words about sacrifice and courage. Li Wei places 2 smooth stones, painted with the guards' names, at the foot of the shrine. Ming and Da bow their heads, hands clasped, while Chenbo sings a soft lullaby learned from his grandmother. The overseer stands with the group, silent, his usual severity softened. For a moment, even the walls seem to listen, the wind carrying prayers toward the mountains. As the ceremony ends, a sense of unity settles over the camp. Their losses are real, but their courage has become part of the wall, a memory that will last as long as the stones stand. With spirits lifted, the workers gather for breakfast, swapping stories of the previous day's battle. Chenbo claims he fought off 3 raiders with a single swing of his magic shovel. Ming exaggerates how fast he ran to fetch water, while Da tells how he bit a raider's boot and didn't let go. Uncle Wu recounts how such battles are won as much by heart as by strength. "We are all heroes when we hold the line," he says. Li Wei smiles, enjoying the warmth of pride and camaraderie. The hardships of the wall are real, but so are the moments of laughter and the stories that transform fear into courage. The wall's scars will fade, but these tales will echo along the stones for generations. With the danger past, the overseer encourages the workers to return to their regular tasks. Repairs are finished, tools checked, food stores restocked. Li Wei leads his team to the far end of the wall, where new foundations must be laid. Ming and Da are quick learners now, and even Song has found his rhythm. Auntie Hua makes a large pot of soup for lunch, enough for everyone, even the guards. Chenbo brings flowers for the table, saying, "If the wall stands, let it be a wall that feeds us all." The mood is lighter, shadows of fear slowly replaced by hope and determination. The workers know the wall will be tested again, but for now, they cherish the quiet and the promise of peace. As dusk falls, Li Wei climbs the rampart alone. He looks over the hills, now quiet and golden, the threat of raiders gone. For today, below, the camp is peaceful. Smoke rises from the cook fires. Laughter drifts on the wind, and Hay chases a cricket by the gate. Li Wei runs his hand over a newly repaired stone, feeling the grooves where his own hands shaped it. He whispers a silent promise to remember those who fell, to honor those who build, and to never let fear overshadow hope. The wall endures, not just as a barrier, but as a living testament to everyone who shapes it with sweat, tears, and courage. As the stars appear, Li Wei descends to the camp, heart lightened by the knowledge that for one more day, the wall, and the people who built it, have endured. Dawn casts gentle gold across the battered but standing wall. Li Wei wakes to the sounds of the camp, slowly returning to normal. Brooms brushing away ashes, the clang of cooking pots, the quiet voices of those tending to the wounded. He stretches, feeling every bruise, then checks on Ming, Da, and Song, who all sleep a little longer, exhausted but safe. Chenbo already stirs the morning fire, singing a cheerful tune to banish the night's shadows. As Li Wei walks the rampart, he nods to the guards who stood beside him the day before. Their faces are drawn, but their eyes are grateful. Auntie Hua moves quietly among the bunks, changing dressings, murmuring soft encouragements. The overseer stops by, inspecting repairs with a sharp eye, but offers a rare nod of approval. "You've held well," he says, simply. The workers gather for breakfast, sharing bowls of millet and pieces of fruit. As the sun rises, tired but proud, they know the hardest battles are often those survived together. After breakfast, the workers gather for a solemn ceremony at the camp shrine. Incense smoke curls upward as Uncle Wu recites a blessing for the guards lost in the night's defense. Li Wei brings a stone engraved with their names, placing it beneath the old cypress tree, where the wall's shadow falls. Ming and Da carry small flowers to add to the pile of memorials. Auntie Hua sings a quiet morning song, joined by Chenbo's soft harmonies. The workers bow their heads, some with tears, others with hands clasped tight. The overseer stands at a distance, hat in hand, his face lined with worry and fatigue. For a moment, everyone is united in grief and gratitude, bound by what they have lost and what they still protect. Wisip. When the ceremony ends, the camp is quiet. Loss is heavy, but the memory of courage is a light that remains. The moment of silence gives way to new purpose. Li Wei rallies his crew, Ming, Da, Song, and Chenbo, to the worksite. The air is thick with resolve as they inspect last night's damage, setting aside broken stones and gathering what can be saved. Song points out a spot where the mortar is thin. Da starts mixing a fresh batch, and Ming hauls sand in steady loads. Li Wei directs repairs, teaching the boys the difference between quick patches and lasting fixes. Chenbo keeps everyone in high spirits with stories about his village's festival games. As the wall rises higher, the day's heat grows intense. Sweat drips from every brow, but no one complains. Every stone placed is both a tribute to their lost comrades and a promise that the wall and those who build it endure. For Li Wei, labor is more than duty today. It's an act of remembrance and hope. As the midday sun reaches its zenith, the workers gather in the shade for a rest. Auntie Hua hands out cups of herbal tea, fragrant with mint and ginger. Uncle Wu takes center stage with a tale from his youth, a story of a lost friend who became a legend for his bravery. The boys listen, wide-eyed, and even the older workers are silent, transported by his words. When he finishes, Chenbo jumps up with a playful retelling, turning the hero into a clumsy rooster who saves the day by accident. Laughter ripples through the group. The heavy mood lightened. Ming asks Li Wei to share a memory from his village. Li Wei describes firefly nights and fishing in a moonlit stream. These moments, brief as they are, bind the workers together. The wall may be what they build, but stories, joyful, sorrowful, and silly, are what hold their hearts. Trouble stirs in the afternoon. Shun, the strong but quiet worker, accuses a new laborer of stealing his rations. Tension escalates quickly, harsh words are exchanged, and other workers gather. Li Wei steps in, urging calm. He listens to both sides, discovering the new worker mistook Shun's bowl for his own. Chenbo diffuses the mood with a clever quip, and Auntie Hua insists they share a meal to wash away anger. Muksun, still fuming, accepts the solution, and the two men eat side by side. Slowly, the air clears. Li Wei reminds everyone that anger is as dangerous as any raider. We must build trust, not just walls. The lesson sinks in. Forgiveness is difficult but necessary. As the sun sinks lower, the camp feels lighter, reminded that unity is their greatest strength. With tempers cooled, Li Wei leads a short break. The boys chase each other between stacks of bricks. Chenbo teaches Ming to whistle with a reed, and Auntie Hua braids a garland of wildflowers for song. Uncle Wu shows Da how to tie a special knot used by old soldiers. The overseer, passing by, actually smiles at the rare cheerfulness. Li Wei climbs partway up the rampart and looks out across the valley. Feeling the breeze cool his face, he realizes that these small moments, friendship, learning, laughter, are what make life bearable amid hardship. When the break ends, everyone returns to work with lighter steps and happier hearts. Late in the day, Li Wei gathers the boys for a lesson in setting stones. He shows them how to judge weight, how to align the blocks just so, and how to keep their fingers safe from pinches. Ming struggles at first but quickly learns. Da is careful and precise, and Song, though the smallest, insists on carrying a heavier stone. Chenbo acts out exaggerated mistakes, making everyone laugh while sneaking in reminders about safety. Li Wei is patient, repeating instructions, praising small improvements. At the end of the lesson, the boys set a stone together, standing back to admire their work. "You'll teach others one day," Li Wei says. As the sun turns the wool golden, the young workers understand knowledge passed on is as strong a legacy as the wall itself. As dusk falls, a peddler arrives at the camp gate, carrying trinkets and letters from distant villages. The workers crowd around, searching for news or a scrap of home. Li Wei receives a letter from his mother. A short note, but filled with love and stories of the rice fields, of village neighbors who ask about him every week. Ming finds a wooden flute his uncle sent, and Da gets a small carved animal. Even Song receives a rag doll. Its stuffing patched but its smile bright. Chenbo barters for a length of bright cloth, and immediately ties it around his head, strutting and bowing to everyone's laughter. For a few precious moments, the wall feels less distant, the world beyond less unreachable. That night, as Li Wei reads his letter by firelight, his heart aches for home, but is filled with new hope. That evening, Li Wei stands by the wall, looking at the stars. Ming joins him, flute in hand, and softly plays a tune that reminds Li Wei of home. They talk quietly about the future, how one day they'll walk the road back to their villages, carrying stories no one else will know. Li Wei makes Ming promise, "If I do not return first, play this song for my mother. Tell her I built the wall and I missed her every day." Ming agrees, eyes shining in the dark. Nearby, Da and Song listen, and Chenbo softly sings along. They stand together, making silent promises to each other that no matter what the wall demands, they will not forget who they are or where they come from. Above them, the sky is vast and comforting, filled with the light of those who came before. The day's labor's over. The workers return to their huts. Auntie Hua offers a last cup of tea to soothe weary bodies. Chenbo tells a final joke that sends the boys to bed giggling. Li Wei lies on his straw mat, the letter from his mother tucked under his head. The sounds of snoring, distant flute music, and quiet laughter drift through the camp. He curls at Li Wei's feet, dreaming of open fields. For the first time in days, Li Wei sleeps soundly, his heart full, his burdens lighter, the promise of tomorrow shining as bright as any star. Whatever the wall demands, whatever sorrow or joy awaits, he knows he is not alone. Together, with those who labor beside him, hope will rise with the dawn. A faint golden haze creeps over the distant hills as Li Wei awakens before the others. For a moment, he lies still, listening to the soft breaths of Ming, Da, Song, and Chenbo around him, and the sleepy snuffle of hay at his feet. Today feels different. Perhaps it's the stillness of the air, or perhaps a premonition that this day will be marked in memory. Li Wei rises quietly, stepping outside to breathe in the crisp morning air. He sees the wall glowing softly in the dawn, standing proud after so many storms, battles, and labors. He takes a slow walk along the rampart, passing soldiers and workers, also up early. Some nod in greeting, united by a shared sense of accomplishment and fatigue. Reaching a high point, Li Wei looks out over the valley. He thinks of home, of the family he hopes to see again, and feels both longing and pride. This wall, he knows, carries the story of his life, etched in sweat, pain, laughter, and friendship. As the sun climbs, the camp begins to stir, and a new chapter is about to begin. After the morning meal, Li Wei is called by the overseer to oversee the final placement of a keystone on a new arch, a symbol of the week's progress. He gathers his closest friends, Chenbo, Ming, Da, Song, and even Uncle Wu and Auntie Hua, to watch. The boys cheer as the stone is hoisted up the scaffold. Workers pulling on ropes in perfect rhythm. Li Wei guides the block into place, checking the fit, smoothing mortar, and finally stepping back as the arch stands complete. The overseer offers Li Wei the honor of tapping the keystone with a ceremonial mallet. Li Wei does so, feeling the weight of history settle on his shoulders. The workers erupt in applause. Chenbo grabs Li Wei in a bear hug. Auntie Hua beams with pride, and even the overseer allows himself a rare, genuine smile. Li Wei's heart swells, not just for the stone set, but for the promise he has kept to give his all, to teach others, and to build something that will endure. News spreads that some workers will soon be released to return home, their terms of service ending. The camp buzzes with hope and anxiety. Who will go, and who will stay? Li Wei is not among those chosen, but Chenbo, surprisingly, is on the list. Their celebration is bittersweet sweet. As the sun climbs, friends gather for an impromptu farewell. Ming and Da give Chenbo a reed whistle and a necklace of shells for luck. Song presents him with a rough drawing of the wall. Auntie Hua presses a pouch of dried herbs into his hand. Chenbo laughs and jokes, but his eyes are wet. He hugs Li Wei tightly. I'll tell them all about the wall and the friends I made here. Promise me you'll stay out of trouble. Li Wei grins. Only if you promise to send a letter every moon. They stand together in silence, a lifetime of camaraderie in a single, wordless glance. Before Chenbo departs, Li Wei leads him to a quiet spot near the wall's foundation, where years of workers have left marks and carvings, names, messages, tiny tokens hidden in crevices. Together, they carve their initials and a small dragon, the symbol of their friendship, into the stone. Ming adds a line from his favorite poem, Da tucks, a lucky coin between two bricks. They stand back, admiring their work. When the wall is old, maybe someone will find this and know we were here, Chenbo says. Li Wei agrees, feeling that even if his name is forgotten, these small acts will endure. Auntie Hua blesses the carvings with incense and a whispered prayer for future generations. The wall, already vast and ancient, has grown by one more memory, another layer in its living history. As evening falls, the camp prepares a simple feast to honor both those leaving and those who remain. Banners flutter, pots bubble over open fires, and the air is fragrant with herbs and roasting yams. Uncle Wu recites a blessing for absent friends. Auntie Hua distributes food and smiles, and the overseer, for once, relaxes among the workers. Everyone shares stories of close calls, secret jokes, hopes for the future. Ming plays his flute, Da drums on a bowl, and Song sings a song he learned from his mother. Li Wei watches the laughter and warmth, feeling both the joy of community and the ache of impending partings. He raises a cup of sweet wine, toasted by all. May our walls stand and our friendships last longer still, he says. The feast carries on under lantern light, a final night of unity before tomorrow's changes. After the feast, the workers gather by the wall's base. Uncle Wu starts a story, a legend of a wall so tall it holds up the sky, built by the hands and hearts of ordinary people. Li Wei sits with Ming and Da, listening as Song asks question after question. Chen Bo, on his last night in camp, acts out the hero's journey with grand gestures, drawing peals of laughter. Auntie Hua joins with her own tale, weaving a story of a garden that grew wherever someone shared kindness in the hardest places. Li Wei feels the stories take root deep in his heart, as the wall itself seems to echo with memory and hope. The night grows cool, the stars glittering. For all the hardship, Li Wei knows their lives matter, not just to each other, but to the world beyond these stones. Later, as the fire burns low, the workers talk quietly of home, of distant rivers, loved ones' faces, and the lives they hope to return to. Li Wei admits to Ming that he dreams of his family's rice fields. And Song quietly promises to remember every detail, to tell his sister one day. Auntie Hua listens, her hands busy braiding a small bracelet for Da. Home is what we carry here, she says, pressing a hand to her chest. Chen Bo, packing his few belongings, promises that the road ahead will be full of songs. As sleep claims the camp, Li Wei feels both longing and comfort, knowing their shared dreams have become a new kind of home. On the morning of departure, the workers gather at the gate to send Chen Bo and the other freedmen on their way. Auntie Hua gives each traveler a pouch of dried fruit and herbs. Ming presses a flute into Chen Bo's hands, while Da and Song tie a lucky knot to his sleeve. Li Wei hands Chen Bo a small stone from the wall, a piece of their shared labor polished smooth. So you'll remember us, and this place. Chen Bo grins. How could I forget? He clasps Li Wei's hand, eyes shining. As the gate opens, the departing workers step onto the road, waving as the camp cheers. Li Wei stands at the wall's edge, heart full of pride and hope, knowing this goodbye is also a new beginning. With the camp a little quieter but heart still high, Li Wei leads the morning muster. New conscripts have arrived, looking around with fear and wonder, just as he once did. Li Wei welcomes them, sharing simple advice: work with care, watch each other's backs, every stone is a story. Ming, Da, and Song show the newcomers how to lift, stack, and stay safe. Auntie Hua greets each new face, promising a balm for every bruise and a tale for every night. As work resumes, Li Wei sees his younger self in every uncertain gaze. He knows the wall's strength is not just in stone, but in the lives it shapes. Each hand, each hope, each voice joined in building something greater than themselves. The wall rises, and so do the people who build it. As the sun sets on his last recorded day, Li Wei stands atop the wall he helped raise. He looks west to the mountains and east to the winding road. He remembers every hardship, every friend, every lesson written in sweat and stone. His hands rest on the cool, ancient rock, each mark a memory, every scar a legacy. A gentle breeze lifts banners. The laughter of children echoes from below, and Auntie Hua's voice drifts on the wind as she sings a lullaby. Li Wei closes his eyes, letting the warmth of the day and the hope for the future settle in his chest. The wall stretches beyond sight, holding not only invaders at bay, but carrying the stories of all who built it. As night falls, Li Wei steps down to the camp, at peace, ready to face whatever comes, his place in the legacy of the wall secure, his heart forever changed. Thank you so much to all of you, my amazing audience, for watching and listening to my videos on this channel. Your time, support, and encouragement mean the world to me. Every view, every like, and every comment inspires me to keep creating content that brings joy, relaxation, and meaningful stories to your day. I feel truly blessed to have such wonderful viewers who are willing to share this journey with me. This channel exists because of you. Your support motivates me to work harder and continue improving each video I create. Whether you are here to relax, learn, or simply enjoy a quiet moment, I hope my videos bring something special to your life. Your presence is the reason this community continues to grow and thrive. I sincerely thank you for being part of this family. Please continue to share your thoughts, leave your feedback, and let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It truly helps this channel grow from the bottom of my heart. Thank you once again for watching, listening, and being with me on this journey.